America's turning 250, and it's time to rock out with our forefathers. American-made, battle-ready style for true patriots. Whether you're marching in the parade, grilling in the backyard, or raising a toast to liberty, do it in the gear that screams freedom. Celebrate 250 years of USA in style. Wear your American pride loud. Trendjackers.etsy.com. Grab yours before the fireworks. America's turning 250, and it's time to...
Live from Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner, and make sure when you go to see Gus and all of our friends at the Embassy Diner, please mention Sports Bash and get that free dessert with your meal. By Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. Later in the show, the Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and we're going to have a giveaway thanks to our friends at Coach's Collectibles, so stay tuned for that later in the show. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And, of course, later on in the program, we'll tell you about the Marty Lyons Foundation Gala coming up next month. We'll tell you about that a little bit later on in the show. In the meantime, hi again, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. A very happy Thursday to everybody. Make sure you are following along Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. People keep sending me stuff on TikTok, and I'm not on TikTok. I wasn't on Instagram for the longest time, and my kids finally, a year or so ago, it's a little more than a year ago, they finally said, Dad, for what you do for a living, you have to be on Instagram. And I gave in, and I'm on Instagram now. And I'm still learning the ins and outs of it. Like, there's some things I do on Instagram, and Bradley and Jared just get so pissed at me. Like, I did something on my story, and I didn't do something correctly, and they'll send me a text like, what did you do with that? I'm like, I don't know. You guys made me get on Instagram. I didn't want to go on Instagram. But now I actually enjoy Instagram almost as much as I enjoy being on X, and it's for work related. Because obviously social media can be a little bit of a septic tank, for lack of a better term. But I am not going. Sports Bash Media, Ticket Bash, all that stuff is on TikTok, and I don't handle that. Connor Kalb handles all of that TikTok stuff. So I am not personally on TikTok, but I am on Instagram at Peter Schwartz Sports and on X/Twitter at Schwartz Sports. So you can find me there, but you will not find me on TikTok. Tony, are you on TikTok?
Govs Comedy Club Podcast is on TikTok.
And that's Tony Walker, the producer of our fine show here, and also the host of the Knock 'em Dead comedy show from Monday through Friday from 11 to 12:30. Had a great show today. I didn't hear it, but I asked. Sources tell me it was a really good show.
Sure.
See, usually I listen to the last half an hour of Tony's show. I try to tune in for most of it, but I always on my drive over here from my house, I listen to the end of the show. But today, and I had to apologize profusely to Tony, it was something that was a little more important. I had to listen to the Yankees postseason press conference with Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman, which I'll get into in a little bit. So that's why I didn't hear usually I on Tuesdays I'm driving in here and I listen to the end of the trivia. Sometimes if I get in there fast enough, I can participate in the trivia. Sometimes I get the answer right, sometimes I don't. But I like participating in the trivia game on Tony's show. Where did I lead off here? Oh, and make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club Podcast on YouTube and Facebook. Sports Bash is now also available on Apple Music and Spotify. And yes, you can actually get the audio version, the audio-only version of Sports Bash on Apple Music and Spotify. That was a big get by Connor Kalb, who has been doing yeoman's work as our social media coordinator. So thanks to Connor for getting the show on Apple Music and Spotify. Big show for you today on what is really a nice day. I'll get to that in just a second. A beautiful day here on Long Island today. Later in the show, we're going to talk to NJ.com NFL reporter Daryl Slater, and we're going to talk to him about it. And we did this very quickly today. He's got a great article out today about Giants rookie running back Cam Skattebo. And if you haven't noticed, and if you must be under a rock if you haven't, but he's made some waves here in his rookie season, a 4th-round draft pick. And if you remember last Thursday after the Giants beat the Eagles on the Amazon Prime postgame show, Cam Skattebo ripped his shirt off, kind of like channeled his inner Hulk Hogan, ripping his shirt off and joining Ryan Fitzpatrick, the former NFL quarterback who's on the studio show. And he took his shirt off, and it created quite a scene at MetLife Stadium last Thursday. And I didn't realize this because I haven't been to a Giants game. But apparently when Cam Skattebo has a big play, the MetLife Stadium team, they put a video of him doing something on the screen, and they put up on the screen, "Woo!" And for those who don't follow pro wrestling, "Woo" is the catchphrase of the legendary pro wrestler Ric Flair. So, great job by Daryl Slater of NJ.com. He actually called Ric Flair and asked if he had seen this, and I think he saw some of it. Then they got connected, and now Ric Flair wants Daryl to give Cam Skattebo Ric Flair's number so that Ric Flair can talk to him about this. So there's that little connection, and we'll talk to Daryl about some other football things as well. And later in the show, really excited about this, and the reason why I'm wearing this hat here on the program today It is St. John's Media Day in Queens. Now, because Media Day was the exact same time as the time that we do the show, we couldn't go cover St. John's Media Day. So the St. John's people were very, very nice to provide us with a guest on the show directly from Media Day, and we're going to be talking to St. John's guard Ian Jackson here on the show. At full disclosure, when I reached out to St. John's, and I've got a pretty good relationship with them. I've been to some of their games, some of their events, and I just said, is it possible to get somebody on? You know, you don't if you don't know what the answer is going to be, what's the worst somebody can tell you? The answer, no, right? We can't do it. Timing doesn't work. And I was floored when they wrote me back and said, yes, we'll get you a player, and it's going to be Ian Jackson. And I'm like, that's a pretty good guest for our little program here, right? Ian Jackson, one of the marquee offseason acquisitions for St. John's. He was with North Carolina. He goes into the transfer portal, and he comes home. He's from the Bronx, so he's coming home to St. John's, and the Red Storm ranked number 5 in the preseason poll. And after they got to the NCAA tournament last year, winning the Big East, now the expectations go up a little bit, and Ian Jackson is expected to do some big things for the Red Storm, and we're going to talk to him about that on the show. He's supposed to join us after he gets out of class, sometime around 1:50. So I've already informed Tony, get that meter ready, because the overtime meter on the show is going to get flipped on probably sometime at around 2 o'clock, but we'll see. And we're looking forward to talking to Ian Jackson on the show. We'll also have What's Hot at Ticketbash.com. Lots of good sporting events coming up, but there's also some big concerts coming to Madison Square Garden that we're going to talk to you about. Even get Tony's thoughts on a couple of these big concerts that are coming to Madison Square Garden. I don't know if these particular artists are up to Tony's acceptance. We'll find out in a little bit. I think he knows where I'm going with this. Maybe he doesn't. But we'll bring that up a little bit later on in the show. We also have the Coach's Collectibles Item of the Week, and we're going to have a giveaway, a great giveaway from our friends at Coach's Collectibles, and we'll tell you about that a little bit later on in the show. I mentioned it's a beautiful day. It really is. And you know, if you watch the show and you know me, you know how much I despise the hot weather. I am not a hot weather person. I love the fall. I actually even love the winter too. There's nothing I like better, weather-wise, than to be able to put a sweatshirt on. Like this is my time of the year, because it's football season, and it has really annoyed me going to my son Bradley's first 5 games of the year for post-university, that I can't wear a sweatshirt because it's been so freaking hot. And just walking out of my house, it's the middle of October. You shouldn't be sweating in the middle of October. And this was a beautiful day, and I bring it up for a couple of reasons. Also, we have a special guest at the Schwartz household for the next few days. My mother who watches the show all the time in Florida. Picked her up at the airport this morning. She's in for the weekend, for Bradley's game over the weekend, and we'll do some stuff with my wife and Jared also. And actually, me and Jared are taking my mother to the Islanders game tonight. And my mother has never been to UBS Arena before. And everything is always, with my mom, and I love her, but everything is always relative to the old days. So like she came in one time when the Islanders were playing at Barclays Center. And Tony, you went to Islander games when they played in Brooklyn. Did you hop on the train, the 2 trains?
I did.
There? Right. So it's a little different than going to games at the Coliseum, right?
A little bit.
Yeah. Sucked.
Yes.
So we went, it was right around time, it was in December, and it was Bradley's birthday, I think was the day before or the day after. And she came in and we all went in. It was, the 4 of us, me, Cheryl, Bradley, Jared, my mom, and my in-laws. We all went to the Barclays Center. And, of course, you had to take 2 trains to get there. You had to change in Jamaica for the other train to get to the sardine can in Atlantic Terminal. And I remember my mom that night saying, this is not like the old days going to Nassau Coliseum, because obviously you were always programmed to just get in your car and drive to the Coliseum, get out of your car, go in, So taking the train to Brooklyn was a little different. But I assured my mother, and she has not been to UBS Arena yet, and I'm very excited for her to see the Islanders' brand new home, now 4 years old. And I think she's really going to like it. And I'm sure she's also going to like the food that we're going to have tonight. So, as you know, I speak always glowingly about the food at UBS Arena. Me and Jared went Monday to the Islander game. And, we were in a club and had some really good stuff. But I think my mom's going to be very, very happy with the food. Now, the hockey is a different story because the Islanders are off to an 0-3 start. And I didn't realize this because remember that first year that the Islanders played in the National Hockey League in 1972-73? They only won like 12 games. I think they were 12-6, whatever it was. A horrible season, right? Do you know that the Islanders have never started the season 0-4 in franchise history? They've never started the season 0-4. The Islanders are currently 0-3. And who do they play tonight? Connor McDavid and the two-time defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. So the Islanders, you need to get a win in the worst way because there's already a lot of stuff going on with them, with Patrick Waugh benching Max Siplikov for Kyle McLean tonight. Ilya Sorokin's not going to be between the pipes. David Redick is going to play goal. And he's already mixing up the lines. It reeks of maybe Patrick Waugh feeling like, I may not be the coach of this team much longer because you had a new GM in Matthew Darsh who agreed to keep Patrick Waugh on. But there's a lot of things that are not looking good right now. I will say this. The one good thing has been Matthew Schaefer, the Islanders' first overall draft pick. He has been as advertised. He has been outstanding. He's got a point in each of the first 3 games, including his first NHL goal. And we'll get a chance to see him on the ice at the same time tonight with Connor McDavid. So that'll be a lot of fun. Well, maybe it won't be that much fun. I got to think it'll be fun. Hopefully, we have really good seats, so that'll be good tonight. And we welcome my mother Ruth from Florida, and I know she's watching the show at home. So we hope she has a good time here with us this weekend. And I just went on 18 different tangents to get to where I wanted to start. And I was, as I mentioned before, I was listening to the Yankees press conference in my car. So at the end of every baseball season, and the Mets did this already as well, you have your postseason news conference with, especially when you ultimately don't win the World Series. I even think that they still do it. Even if you win the World Series, I still think they do this. But so Aaron Boone met the media first at 12 o'clock. And I listened to that whole thing. And then Brian Cashman, he might even still be speaking. I don't know if he's still talking. But he came on at around 12:40, and he was talking. Let me address something that Aaron Boone said first. There's one thing that I hate. Oh, there's a lot of things that I hate. Not Tony or anybody like affiliated with the show, but there's things in sports that I hate. One of the things that I hate is when, executives, coaches, managers, players treat us like we're idiots, whether you're a media member or a fan. Don't treat me like I'm a moron. Don't lie to my face. Don't give me a load of bullcrap. And one of the things that Aaron Boone addressed during his press conference today was Anthony Volpe, Yankees' third-year shortstop. And listen, obviously struggled this year, especially defensively. He was a Gold Glove as a rookie. Struggled with the bat again this year, but it was also clear that something was bothering him. And we found out yesterday through reports, and the Yankees confirmed it today, that he had a labrum problem, and he had surgery to repair it. And he can't hit for 4 months. He can't dive on that shoulder for 6 months. Now, how do you play shortstop in Major League Baseball, or really in any level of baseball? How do you play shortstop without the ability to dive for a ball? I wasn't a very good baseball player as a kid, but I'm a pretty big fan of it. And I think you need, and you teach kids to hustle, and you want players to try and make plays. You cannot, Anthony Volpe cannot dive for 6 months. So he obviously will not be the Yankees' opening day shortstop. He may eventually regain the starting job, but he will not be the starting shortstop on opening day. If you can't dive for a ball, then you can't play shortstop. Now, if they're going to put him, if they say he can hit, then he's got to be the DH. So then that obviously has an effect the rest of the way down because now Stanton can't DH if Volpe is the DH. So that's obviously a problem, and the Yankees will either go with Caballero or Ahmed Rosario, or they'll be in the market for a veteran shortstop to fill until Volpe is healthy enough to play. But Aaron Boone had the audacity when asked, like, did the labrum problem affect him? Why did you keep him in the lineup? He goes, no, I don't believe that the labrum problem had an effect on his game. And I'm like, say what? I mean, I don't dislike Aaron Boone. I think I've made my feelings known about him. I think when you grade him as a manager, it comes out as being kind of an incomplete because I still believe he's told what to do. Like, I don't think a lot of the decisions he makes are his decisions. I think it comes from Brian Cashman and the Yankees analytics nerd department. But don't question my sanity. Don't treat me like I'm an idiot and say that Anthony Volpe's play was not affected by a torn labrum. I mean, to suggest that is just, it's ludicrous. And, and Aaron Boone also, obviously talked about how it hurt, the way that he felt this was a good team, blah, 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 blah. And then Brian Cashman began his press conference. And again, talked about things in general and disappointment and stuff like that. And you knew this was going to come up. Well, we had a really good team. We made the playoffs. And like a prize fighter, we just got knocked out in the second round. Like, you got to be on your A game in order to win a World Series. But we got to the playoffs. I mean, the mission statement is to win the World Series. That's what the late George Steinbrenner said. Since he owned the team, the mission statement is to win the World Series. At the very least, get there, which they did last year. But as you know, and I agree to this as a Yankee fan, the Yankees' road to the World Series last year was nothing. They beat 3 tomato cans to get there. Excuse me, 2. They didn't play in the wild card. They played Kansas City and Cleveland to get to the World Series. And then they met a real team, the Dodgers. And still, almost, had the Yankees won Game 1, I think it might have been a different World Series. But you can't just say that we got to the playoffs. No, you look at the teams that are still playing, man. Come on. And to say, you just got knocked out in the second round? Well, a crap fighter can get knocked out in the second round. And when you're asked, like, what do you need? And you can't answer the question, well, we're going to see what the market dictates. No, look at the teams that are still left. Coming out of last year, if you assumed that you were going to have an easy road to the World Series, you had to figure out a way to beat the Dodgers. Now, if you are the Yankees, you've got to figure out a way to beat the Blue Jays. You got to figure out a way to beat the Mariners. You got to figure out a way to beat the Red Sox again, because the Red Sox are still going to be a thorn in your side. Sometimes these guys, these managers and players and executives, they talk to you like you're an idiot. And I'm tired of it. I mean, I've done this a long time. I had my microphone in many people's faces for 35 years. And the thing that bothers me the most is when somebody will treat me like I'm an idiot. And I can't stand it. So I think the Yankees have a lot of work to do in the offseason. Absolutely, 100%. A lot of work to do. Yeah, I could tell you right now, when April comes around, or March actually the season starts in, Yankees will be in the playoffs next year. I'll tell you that. I think most people will feel that way. But the Yankees going to be a World Series contender next year? Let's see what they do. But come out one of these press conferences and just speak the truth to me. That's what I'm asking for. Coming up next, we're going to talk some football with NJ.com NFL reporter Daryl Slater, mixing a little pro wrestling with it as well, as he has a great article out today that I saw this morning, so we'll talk to him about that. Ian Jackson, St. John's Guard, later in the show. We'll be back with more Sports Bash right after this. I got Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. And this segment of Sports Bash is presented by the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund, a group of like-minded individuals trying to raise awareness to our future generations of all possibilities of success other than just college. For more information, visit www.lookwhomadeit.org. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome back to the program. Time to talk a little football as we welcome in our guest here on the show from NJ.com, New Jersey Advanced Media. We welcome in NFL reporter Daryl Slater. Daryl, it's Peter. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show on short notice today. And the reason why we wanted to have Daryl on, he has a great article out today for NJ.com on Giants rookie Cam Skattebo. But the bigger story there is who you spoke to for that story, and that is pro wrestling legend Ric Flair. And the reason why there's this connection, as I mentioned it before on the show, when Cam Skattebo does something pretty cool in a game, the Giants put this video of him going nuts on the screen, and they put the words "woo," which was Ric Flair's catchphrase, and still does, even though he's not wrestling anymore, but he still lets that catchphrase out. And you just decided you were going to pick up the phone and call Ric Flair to get his thoughts on Cam Skattebo, and I can't imagine how cool that phone call must have been.
Yeah, I had reached out to someone who I thought might have the phone number, and I kind of thought it would be a long shot. But he was game for it, and it was very pleasant. Like I was nervous, obviously, a little bit. You don't get nervous necessarily in this line of work talking to athletes, because but as a wrestling fan growing up, not so much anymore, but like as a big wrestling fan growing up, obviously, remember watching him, and so it was cool. It was a good conversation. He wasn't, he's not super familiar with Cam Skattebo, and Cam himself is not actually like a big wrestling fan per per se.
Yeah.
And
but
you
I
know,
can
he has
see, but Daryl, I
origins.
can see Cam Scadaboo as those. You look at some of the other football players that have gotten involved with wrestling, and if Cam Scadaboo gets lured in that direction, he would be a natural with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so sort of what I wound up talking to Rick a lot about was sort of there. There's a lot of parallels between those two guys. A couple guys who obviously a huge age gap, but two really hard grinding guys who also incorporate the flashiness too. So they don't know each other. They're not super familiar with each other, but I think that they share more in common than either would know.
I think, and you've seen Ric Flair make appearances with NFL teams. Remember, a couple of years ago, he went in and actually spoke to the San Francisco 49ers at their meeting the night before, and Rick has popped up at with other teams. In fact, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, he went with his daughter Charlotte Flair to an LA Rams game, and they were all decked out with Rams stuff on the sideline. So I think somebody from the Giants has to make some arrangements to get Ric Flair to come to a Giants game.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's buddies with Harbaugh, with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that to me when I talked to him. That they're friends, and that's sort of the connection there. And look, I think that I don't think it would be free necessarily. And like Rick is a businessman, and so he these autograph signings that he does with LT made him make money off that. So I don't know how that would work. Maybe he would do it for free. I don't know, but just talking casually to a couple guys in the Giants locker room yesterday, because I told them some of these guys about this random conversation I had with Rick, and they were like, what? So guys of, even guys who were younger, Kim Scadaboo was 6 years old when Rick had that epic match with Shawn Michaels, his first retirement match, right? And so, but he still resonates with a lot of pop culture, and so I think it would certainly be cool if he did something with the Giants. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do know that he asked for me to pass his number along to Cam, which was kind of weird, going into the locker room and and I don't know Cam Scadaboo that well yet, so but it was just sort of a funny moment, and Cam started doing the woo in high school, and it became his thing, and he actually doesn't do it during games anymore because he's too tired. He's got to catch his breath, he said. But the Giants put it on the board. It's part of his shtick, and he has Nature Boy in his Instagram profile. And but again, he just sort of leans into the fun part of it. He's not a super big wrestling fan, but I think that it just goes to show. And I probably should have mentioned this, in there, but I think it goes without saying that Ric Flair kind of transcends. He transcends wrestling. Like, you don't have to be a wrestling fan to sort of know who Ric Flair is and all those things, and the woo and all that.
Oh, no question about it. We're talking to Daryl Slater, NFL reporter for NJ.com, about his article today about Giants running back Cam Scadaboo, but also about his conversation with former pro wrestler Ric Flair and this unique connection that maybe Scadaboo and Flair have because of the video that's played at MetLife Stadium. Let's talk about Scadaboo for a second. And he was a fourth-round draft pick, and he's been a great surprise for the Giants and their fans this season, and mixing in with the insertion of a first-round pick Jackson Dart as the starting quarterback, they have really created a bit of a 1-2. I guess I'm looking for a word to say it, a hope punch for Giant fans, because after a tough start to the season, there is now some legitimate hope that the Giants are rejuvenated by this. But Scadaboo specifically, what have your thoughts been on him and what he's provided to the Giants so far?
Yeah, I think Giants fans are just looking for any reason to be hopeful. I mean, you're talking about a fan base that really, and everyone kind of convinced themselves at end of 2022 that like Daniel Jones was, and what, he's playing great right now, but was going to be the guy, right, long term, because there have been so many dark years. So any reason that people, I'm not saying it's delusional or whatever. I'm just saying, when your fan base has been down for so long, any glimmer of hope becomes kind of lionized, and they have really lionized Dart and Scadaboo, and it's early, but that was a great win on Thursday, and who knows, this may be the group. But I think also that kind of lifts him out of this. But don't lose sight of the fact that the offensive line has played much better. That's part of it. He brings sort of this tough, defiant, undeterred, unflinching ethos that the Giants really, really need right now at this point in their rebuild. Like, sort of like, we're not going to be punched around anymore, smacked around, and we're going to kind of punch you back. And I think that resonates with a lot of Giant fans. And then, of course, there's the whole, which resonates with all teams, this does, the whole underdog thing. You know, This is a kid who was not recruited. He's smaller, right? He's not the fastest guy. He comes from a blue-collar little city just north of Sacramento. His dad owns a pest control company. And so I think he resonates, and people can kind of relate with him. He's not even under-recruited, like almost non-recruited. He had one scholarship offer, Sacramento State.
Right.
And everyone knows his story. But, fourth round pick. So it wasn't like he was a first round pick. So, I think a lot of, and the production obviously resonates. The guy could be a great story, and if he's not producing it, it really doesn't matter. And so he's producing, and he's producing in a way that helps keep defenses off balance, which they're obviously going to need in Denver, right? They're not going to want that Broncos pass rush to tee off on Jackson Dart, and they got to be able to run block and establish a realm of Scadaboo. So, I think he's been an important part of what they're doing. It's early. Like, can he sustain this? Is he going to run for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns every game? Probably not. No. But I think that sort of that defiant attitude that he brings is something the Giants really, really need.
Oh, there's no question. And I think it's that enthusiasm, that attitude that he brings that has helped the Giants kind of feel better about themselves over the last few weeks, and that takes them into Sunday's game in Denver. It's never easy, even if the Broncos are not a good team. It's not easy for teams to go into Denver with the altitude and come away with wins. But I would have to think, even though the Broncos defense at 9 sacks in the game in London against the Jets, I would think the Giants have to have a pretty good feeling about going into Denver with the way that Dart and Scadaboo have ignited the offense, the way the Giants defense can play. I would have to think the Giants have to feel, they have a pretty decent shot of going into Mile High. Well, that's not Mile High. It is, Mile High. People still refer to that stadium as Mile High. But I got to feel the Giants have to have a pretty good feeling about their chances this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't see a situation where they are going to get blown off the field like the Jets did. I mean, the Jets are their own special version of a mess right now.
Yeah, I know. That's 3 hours of my time Sunday morning that I'll never get back. And as I say to everybody, I'm sure I'm a diehard Jets fan, and it's the same nonsense. We'll get to the Jets in a couple of minutes, but it's just 3 hours of my life I'll never get back on Sunday because they created new ways to make me miserable.
Yeah, that's what they do best, and the Giants have been there too. I think when you look at what they're going to have, I'm sure a good plan going into this, knowing that they have a mobile quarterback, the Giants do. Obviously, Jackson Dart is not as one-dimensional as Fields, but they just saw the Broncos take away Fields' running ability, take away his legs as part of the game plan. And Dart, we all know he likes to run, and that's going to be part of what they do. The recipe for success for the Giants is not doing what happened in New Orleans, which is where he threw the ball a ton and had to for them, because they were down. But that's not what's going to be success for this team. I mean, we could talk on a whole other subject about whether it's good or bad for this kid to be putting himself out there as much and Dart, injuries and all that. But the reality is that's a big part of why they're successful right now is his running. And the Broncos are going to try to stop it. They just did stop it with Justin Fields. They have a really good pass rush. This is a really tough game. Sean Payton's an amazing coach. Obviously, more focused on the offense, and Vance Joseph, really good defensive coordinator too. So, tough place to play. This is a huge task for the Giants. Is it the same as maybe going into Philly? Maybe not. I mean, they did just beat the Eagles, but look, I mean, Bo Nix is not Roger Staubach, but I think a lot of people kind of had drawn comparisons. Talked to Mike Mayock earlier this year about him and Dart. He sees a lot of similarities there, and I think the Giants would be very, very happy if Dart continues to thrive this year like Bo Nix did at times last year. So, but all that's to kind of say, I do think the Giants certainly have a chance. It's going to be a tough one. It is just because of what the Broncos do so well as a way to counter what Dart does really well.
We have a couple of minutes left with Darryl Slater, NFL reporter for NJ.com, as he joins us here on Sports Bash. Let's now switch over to the Jets, and obviously they are one big giant, with all due respect to the Giants. The Jets are one big giant mess now at 0-6, and it has not taken very long for Aaron Glenn to start battling with reporters after games and at practice during the week. And when you look at where the Jets are now at 0-6 and issues now and questions about the coaching staff, and Garrett Wilson is injured, and Justin Fields can't get the ball downfield, how do you sum up what's wrong with the Jets right now?
Everything. Everything.
That's a good word.
I mean, it starts with just the fact that they don't have any coherent plan at the top as far as, some of those just completely head-scratching game management decisions by Glenn. I mean, that is what the head coach needs to do, is make those type of decisions. And that's where some of the super hard transitions are for a guy who's never been a head coach, right, to do those things that he's never done before. And so clearly Aaron Glenn is struggling with that, and by his own admission has made some wrong decisions. How he handles himself in the press conferences and all that stuff, that's all goes into optics. And does it really matter necessarily in the grand scheme of things? No, but it doesn't help, especially when you're losing. And so you can be Parcells and try to be Parcells part two, but Parcells, when he came to the Jets, had an insane track record, right? Aaron Glenn does not have that. So that's where a lot of people have gotten in trouble emulating Belichick, and we know how all that went. And guys, that's really the same thing, right? Emulating Parcells. So it's been a rough start, obviously.
No question.
Their offense has been, it was one of the worst offensive performances in the history of the team, and what's that saying? The other day, they don't have a competent quarterback. I mean, Justin Field, they're going to ride this out with him, I guess, or Tyrod Taylor. The reality is the Jets are going nowhere this year, and I don't know if you're a Jet fan. Is there one quarterback you want to tank for? I don't know. I mean, Sellers, the kid from Nussmeier, right? The kid from LSU, right? There's all these guys. I mean, Drew Aller obviously just got hurt, and Penn State had their own issues. So, they're going to draft a quarterback next year, and that's sort of the tricky part. Like, is it a good quarterback draft class? I don't know, but
and also
you can only deal with what you have.
But do you also, Darryl, want this regime making that pick now, because you're 6 games into the season, you're questioning the competency of Darryl Muji and Aaron Glenn. And listen, it's not very often that a coach is one and done. It happened with the Patriots with Gerard Mayo, but you have to even wonder now, do you want this regime making that important pick for the Jets?
That's a good question, especially because, like, with Gerard Mayo, and Mike Vrabel's not an offensive-minded guy, but he had a track record. But Aaron Glenn, not an offensive-minded guy. First-time coach, not an offensive-minded guy, right? So you want to put your new quarterback, and this is sort of in a great situation, and this was sort of the argument for why the Giants, and we'll see how it all plays out with the Giants, should have cleaned house and just brought in new GM, new quarterback, new coach, all at the same time. So everyone was on the same timeline. And, you see it a lot. I mean, and it's still certainly possible for Dable to get fired after this year. But where a guy, a team brings in a first-round quarterback or a number 1 pick quarterback, all those examples of where the coach got fired, right? And especially it's not a kind situation for a defensive coach. So, like, I think Glenn probably gets another year and with a new quarterback, and we'll see. It's not like he has experience molding a quarterback, right? So he has to hope that his offensive staff can competently do that. So the reality is everything about this Jets season going forward is going to be who's going to stick around, like who's still going to be here, who are they going to ship off, and how are they going to build this thing going forward around whoever the new quarterback is next year. I highly doubt that they would jettison both the GM and the coach. I mean, crazier things have happened, and they did really give the keys to the operation to Glenn.
Yeah,
I mean, he is running.
I think the
show,
problem.
so.
I think the ultimate problem with the Jets is I'd like to jettison the owner.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people. I know a lot of people agree with you on that. But how many years? I mean, 25 years of mostly just awful decision making from Woody Johnson, who is, just mostly has been inept. So
absolutely,
So that's a tough one. That's a tough one for Jet fans, of course.
Daryl, thank you so much for spending some time on short notice with us. It was great, and hopefully we can have you back on again at some point during the season, talk a little more football.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Daryl Slater, NFL reporter for NJ.com. That was a fun spot with him talking about Cam Scattaboo and the little connection there with Ric Flair, and also on the flip side, the downside of the local New York sports scene as far as football is concerned. We talked a little bit about the Jets. Well, coming up next, we have a very, very busy final segment here on the show. We've got What's Hot at ticketbash.com, the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and also we are expected to be joined by St. John's guard Ian Jackson when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. This segment of Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage. Don't forget to mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. It is time for What's Hot at TicketBash.com. On the sports calendar, the Islanders host Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers tonight at UBS Arena. Tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden, the Knicks have a preseason game with the Hornets. From the NFL on Sunday, the Jets host the Panthers at MetLife Stadium. And now to the concert calendar, and this is where I kind of mentioned before I wanted to bring, Tony Walker in on some conversation about music, because you know how we love to talk about Billy Joel here on the show, but obviously there's been no recent news about Billy's health. But there's a couple of interesting concerts coming up at Madison Square Garden. On Saturday night, Tate McRae will be at Madison Square Garden. And then Sabrina Carpenter is at Madison Square Garden on October 26th, 28th, and 29th. Get tickets to these events and more at the lowest prices with no service fees at TicketBash.com. Tony, does Tate McRae or Sabrina Carpenter, either of those two interest you in going to see them?
Did you know Tate is related to Hal?
To Hal?
Hal McRae, the baseball player?
The baseball player?
I'm totally lying to you.
Yeah, you're not. I know you're lying.
I made
to me.
that
Like
up.
it's.
I actually
that would be. Yeah. No. I better just not say anything. Yeah.
I actually think Sabrina Carpenter is very talented.
Yes, and she's hosting. Not only hosting, but she's also the musical guest for Saturday Night Live this week.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah.
Very nice.
Here's my thing, and I think they're both extremely talented, and I like their music. For me, if I'm going to spend $100 or $150 on a concert ticket,
yeah,
which most of my life has been on Billy Joel,
right.
I want to hear the people sing it at the concert. Like, I don't want to hear something that's pre-recorded.
Oh, sure.
And you could definitely tell. And I understand why they do this, because obviously when you look at these particular concerts, whether it's Sabrina Carpenter or Tate McRae, or maybe even Taylor Swift, I don't know. I've never seen a whole concert on TV. But because it's so orchestrated and they're doing the dancing and the costume changes, I would imagine it's also difficult to sing. So
yeah.
You do have a lot of voice track music at these shows, and that's where I would be like, I'll watch it on television, but I don't know if I would pay $150 for a ticket to see a concert where the person's not really singing.
I've taken my daughter twice to Ariana Grande,
yeah.
And they're such a spectacle that it is fun to be there, and damn well, like you said, there's some tracks.
But call it a show. Don't call it a concert.
Well,
I think I'd probably feel better if you said if it was Sabrina Carpenter on stage at Madison Square Garden,
right?
Then I think I could understand it a little bit more.
And now I don't know about these particular artists, but again, when I saw Ariana, she did I think like 2 or 3 songs where she cleared the dancers out. There was no craziness. It was just her. Guitar, drums, bass, and keyboard, and she sang these 2 like blues songs. And I don't know what these songs.
She's got a great voice.
It was phenomenal. Amazing, and that's what I'd like to see more of.
Yes,
but I understand. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Did you see the Saturday Night Live with Ariana Grande a few years ago, where she's in a skit where she's working in an office, and she has to then I don't know if it was like a Napster kind of skit or whatever it was, but they needed her to sing different people's songs.
I think so.
And
Yeah,
remember, she was it was
yes,
great,
very talented,
very
lady, yes.
talented.
Yes.
Ariana Grande. So,
but I'm with you. If I'm going to spend $150, I want to go see the new Rush reunion.
And I believe
Yeah.
Ariana Grande is a huge Florida Panthers fan.
Oh, is that
I think
right?
she goes to a lot of Florida Panthers games.
You
Yes.
should get her on here to talk hockey then.
I
Come on, you're
I'm
Peter
happy to have
Schwartz.
Ian Jackson on in a little bit. I have those kind of connections. I don't have that. I don't exactly have Ariana Grande in my Rolodex.
Damn it.
Tony. It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Hey, Giants fans, can Big Blue make the playoffs? We got a couple of wins here, and the Commanders lost on Monday night, so you wonder, can the Giants start to make some noise to get into the playoffs? And I know it's early, and that's one of the choices. So the three choices are yes, no, or too early to tell. Yes, no, or too early to tell. And I'm in the too early to tell category. Tony, would you agree with that on the Giants?
I was actually going to use that as my answer first, but I like what I see so far.
Yeah, listen, the
I
Giants,
think there's a shot.
They become a fun watch. There's no question about it. Coach's Collectibles item of the week. Rangers defenseman Adam Fox autographed full-size Bauer helmet. Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. And you know how much we love to give away free stuff here on the show. Look, I like to get free stuff too, but I also like to give away free stuff. And thanks to our friends at Coach's Collectibles, we have a great giveaway. Earlier this week, the Islanders' famous identity line of Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, and Casey Cizikas did an autograph signing public event at Mulcahy's in Wantagh. And off of that event, we have 2 8x10 signed photos of Cal Clutterbuck and Matt Martin. And just go to our social media, because I'm not quick enough to go on my phone and look up the text that I got, but you can see the graphic that's on our show right now with the instructions of what to do. Connor, this is a Connor Cal production. He handles all the giveaways now and how we do this with, you got to follow this person and that person and tweet at me and tweet at Tony or whatever it might be. So just, and let me look up at the screen here. Follow Coach's Collectibles, NY, and also Sports Bash Media, and tag 2 friends. And then you'll enter to win an 8x10 signed photo of Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck. We have 2 of them to give away. We have 2. So we'll announce those winners next week, or maybe we'll do one next week and one the week after that. But that's a great photograph of Cal Clutterbuck and Matt Martin that we're going to be giving away next week here on the show. So you make sure you follow and enter along with that. It is time to bring in our next special guest on the program, and it's very exciting. Today is St. John's Media Day in Queens, and we are very, very fortunate to have one of the stars of the St. John's Red Storm. Came to the Red Storm via the transfer portal from North Carolina, but he's a Bronx native, and he's back home playing for St. John's. We welcome to the show guard Ian Jackson. Ian, it's Peter. How are you?
What's going on, man?
Oh, thanks for joining us here on the program. You have to be over the moon to be back home in New York. And listen, no shot at North Carolina. It's obviously a storied basketball program, but you're a Bronx guy, a local kid, and now St. John's back into national prominence with head coach Rick Pitino and coming off a tournament appearance last year. Now you're part of this program. How does it feel to be home playing for St. John's?
Man, it feels great. For me, being a New York kid from the Bronx, to come home and be a part of something that's growing, and for me to be like another piece to help it grow some more in my own city, man. It's for me, it's great. I'm loving it.
Now I know Coach Pitino has had his eye on you for a while now, and now you're going to get a chance to play for him, one of the most legendary coaches in the history of not just college basketball, but all of basketball. What does it mean to you to play for a guy like Coach Pitino?
For me, it means a lot. You get a chance to play for a legendary coach and learn as much as I can. I think I'm a sponge to the game. I'm a student. I want to learn as much as I can, and Coach P knows a lot, so I'm just learning under him and getting better every day.
What were your thoughts on the St. John's program the last couple of years, especially last year with them winning the Big East and getting to the tournament? I'm sure, even though you were in North Carolina and busy worrying about that, I'm sure as a local kid you had to have your eye on St. John's. What are your thoughts on the program and the way that it's kind of risen from the dead in the last couple of years?
I think Coach P has done an amazing job, especially last year with them being as good as they was on defensively, just as a team in general. I think that's a test of Coach P's work and even the players that's here and the culture that he's built and Queens. So I was watching them. I was loving it, man. I'm always love seeing New York teams do well. So I was rooting for them from afar, just for the fact of them being home.
St. John's guard Ian Jackson joining us here on the show. It is Media Day out at St. John's. I know there's a lot of excitement on campus, and I'm sure you've been able to feel that excitement after the way things finished last year. Can you sense the excitement on campus by the students, by the teachers, the whole staff? What's the excitement level like on the campus of St. John's as you get ready to start the season?
Man, everybody ready. Everybody ready for us to get going. Everybody ready for us to be in the garden and make some noise, man. Win a lot of games, win as much games as we can. So on campus, it's fun. Walking around campus, interacting with students, the teachers know us, the professors, but just everybody is ready for us to get going.
Now, when you look at the team that's been assembled, obviously there's been some changes from last year. You're among those changes. When you take a look at the roster, top to bottom, and obviously, led by Coach Pitino, what are your expectations for this season? How far can you guys go?
As you see, as you know, everybody knows we're super talented. We got older guys, we got young guys, we got enough pieces that we want and enough time that we need to do a lot of special things. As a team, our expectations, we get better every day. Win as much games as possible. Just do as much as we can and worry about the next day.
Now, you're going to play some games still at Carnesecca Arena on campus, but most of the St. John's home games are played at legendary, iconic Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. For you as a kid growing up in the Bronx and now you're part of St. John's, how cool is it that you get to call Madison Square Garden your home office?
Man, it's legendary. Just me being a kid from New York, to have the Garden to be my home crib, to play at almost every game, and then some tournament games. It's something that you don't even think of as a kid, So for me, I'm excited. I played in the Garden one time in my life. Now I got a chance to be there a few more times and do something special.
What was it like playing basketball at Xavier Lutheran High School, and how did it help propel you to your college career? And who knows, obviously, where this is going to go, but I'm sure the NBA is on your checklist at some point in the future. But what was it like playing high school basketball here in the area?
Man, it was electric. I would say that. We had one of the better teams in the city, so everybody showed us love. Coach Pete was my coach at RSL. He kind of showed me what it was to be a hard worker. I think he kind of opened my eyes up in that sense and to just push me to another level to get right before college. So playing basketball in New York is I feel like playing basketball anywhere in New York at a high level always brings a different kind of excitement, a kind of different kind of support, from the fans. It's just a different vibe.
And last thing, and we're joined by Ian Jackson here on Sports Bash St. John's Guard. The runway is getting a little shorter. You're about to have some exhibition games. I think you play Michigan at the Garden coming up in a preseason game, but the season is right around the corner. What's the practices been like for you, and how ready are the guys to get this going very soon?
We ready. I feel like all the guys is ready to hit the gas. We ready to get out there, get going. We ready to play in front of our fans, and the practice has been hard, intense, super detailed. I think everybody goes into practice with a mindset of we got to get better. We got something we got to get done this year. So the guys are super locked in. I'm locked in, and we ready to hit the gas.
Ian, thank you so much on a busy day for joining me here on the show, and excited to come out and see a St. John's game or two this year with my family. Best of luck to you. Welcome home, and let's go Red Storm this season.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Ian Jackson, guard for the St. John's Red Storm. And a couple of the other things that are going on with the St. John's basketball program, they are building a new practice facility on campus. So Rick Pitino getting things done, winning games. They're going to build a new practice facility. And also it was announced today that there are now tickets available for all St. John's home games, the conference games, the non-conference games, the games in the Garden, the games at Carnesecca Arena. All tickets are now available for St. John's. And for more information, go to the St. John's University Athletics website, and you can get all the ticket information there as well. That was a great little spot with Ian Jackson, who looked like he was in the locker room there at St. John's. So we're very, very excited for them, and it's great. I actually, as much as it's fun going to the Garden to see the games, I really like going to Carnesecca because it's smaller, it's on campus, you're right on top of the court, but of course, it's the world's most famous arena, so who doesn't like that as well? And we thank Ian for joining us here on the program. I believe we had left off before Ian joined us with Dad's Time to Brag. Is that where we are, Tony?
That is correct.
That is correct. Dad's Time to Brag. And we'll start with my son Jared and his Levittown badminton teammates completing their season earlier this week. Their final game was this past Tuesday against Long Beach. So we congratulate Coach Maney and all the players, especially the graduating seniors from MacArthur and Division High School who played their final badminton game for the district this past Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm still learning the rules to badminton. It's been 2 seasons that Jared has played badminton, and I'm still trying to catch up on the various different rules. But I'll tell you one thing, and this is no comparison to The Rock's new movie, The Smashing Machine, but Jared has become a smashing machine on the court. I mean, he is literally destroying. There's 2 words for the thing that you hit in badminton, and I get yelled at when I call it a shuttlecock.
That's what it's
because
called.
that is what it's called, but now they call it a birdie.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
also called a birdie.
Yes.
So every time I say, well, Jared, how hard is it to hit that shuttlecock? And he's like, Dad, it's a birdie.
It's really hurt.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to. There's something, I can go in another direction there, and it's a family program. Well, most of the time it's a family program, so I'm not going to go there. Now to a tough afternoon for Bradley and the Post Eagles this past Saturday at Bentley as they fell to 3-2. But Bradley had another strong day of long snapping, and this Saturday the 3-2 Eagles are back home to host Assumption at Municipal Stadium in Waterbury, Connecticut. So we wish Bradley and the Post Eagles good luck this Saturday. It's a noon kickoff. So we got to get up to Connecticut a little earlier than normal on Saturday for a noon kickoff. But I'll tell you this, it is Parents' Weekend, and there is a little tailgate that goes on before those home games, and there's an extra special tailgate on Saturday, and they serve free food and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be booking up there, up 95 to 84 to whatever Fakakta streets take us into Waterbury, Connecticut, and get up there in time for that delectable food. They serve these buffalo wings and other things, but they serve these egg rolls that are like to die for. And that's get there, I'll park the car, get me some of those egg rolls, and let me go into the stadium and go watch warm-up. So that'll be a lot of fun on Saturday up in Connecticut. The 4th annual Marty Lyons Foundation Evening of Thanks Gala is coming up on Thursday, November 13th at the Bourne Mansion in Oakdale. The foundation will be honoring wishes granted in 2025 and members of the Marty Lyons Foundation family. It was a great event last year and more this year. There's going to be raffle prizes, a special live wish reveal, and for more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. We're not going to go as overtime as I thought we were going to be, but I still have a couple more things to get to. Tonight, Gotham Wrestling has its first television event at Levity Live in West Nyack. Jay Lethal, if you follow pro wrestling, you know that name. He's been around a whole bunch of different promotions. He's the headliner on tonight's event as he'll take on Carl Fredericks' Big Mama. defends the United Wrestling Network Women's World Championship, and you'll also see CEP Heavyweight Champion Joe Ocasio in action. Tickets are available at GothamWrestling.com or at the door tonight. Doors open at 6:30. Bell time is at 7:30. Coming up this Tuesday, October 21st, Sports Bash will be covering Big East Media Day at Madison Square Garden. So we are looking forward to doing our show that day a little bit later on in the day. Normally we're on at 1. We're going to do the show live at 3 o'clock as me and Connor are hopping on the Long Island Railroad to head into the city for Big East Media Day, and we'll be back, hopefully get some great interviews, and hopefully get the chance to meet Ian Jackson in person after he was on the show. That seemed like a very, very nice and personable young man, so we look forward to meeting him and Rick Pitino and the rest of the Red Storm at Media Day on Tuesday. Then Thursday, October 30th, we're going to talk baseball postseason and also what the Yankees and the Mets are going to be doing during their offseason, as I'll be joined by Kelly Franco, the host of the 3 Inning Fan podcast, one of the best baseball podcasts that are out there. So Kelly is going to join us here on the show. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, Kelly and I share something in common, is that we are both married to the opposite baseball team. So I'm a Yankee fan. My wife Cheryl is a Mets fan. And I'm pretty sure Kelly... I have to go back and look at her social media, but I'm pretty sure Kelly is the Yankee fan and her husband is the Met fan, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know, but she does have a house divided, just like our Schwartz house is divided with Yankee and Met fans. And here's the thing I'm going to close with. And obviously the Jets are going through a rough season, but listen, football is secondary when it comes to your health and it comes to life. So best wishes go out to Jets legendary center Nick Mangold, who announced earlier this week that he is undergoing dialysis and is in need of a kidney transplant. Now, if you know our family, and especially my son Bradley, and you've seen the pictures of him playing football, most of his career he has worn the number 74, and that's because Nick Mangold was his favorite player. Once he really started getting into football, and that's why whenever it was possible, he would wear number 74. And we're looking at a picture from the Jets house a few years ago, more than a few. Not that Bradley was ever little, but he's a lot littler than he is now. And Bradley, one of Bradley's first Jet jerseys was a Nick Mangold jersey that he's holding up there. And we met Nick at Jets house and got him the autograph. That's Dipperkashaw Ferguson also in that picture. He's all the way to the left, upper left-hand corner of that picture. But you can see the smile on Bradley's face getting that. And on behalf of our entire family and everyone here at Sports Bash, we wish Nick the best. In 2006, Nick, and he's a legendary Jet center, Ring of Honor inductee. He was diagnosed in 2006 with a genetic defect that has led to a chronic kidney disease. Mangold is looking for a donor with type O blood. So check out Nick Mangold on social media. There's directions, and if you're interested in donating a kidney, or you know somebody who might, go to the Jets website, go to their social media, or go to Nick Mangold's social media, and you can get more information on who you can contact if you're interested in being a donor. So again, best wishes go out to Nick Mangold and his family and the entire Jets organization. And also, I should also mention Ohio State, because he has reached out. He played college football at Ohio State, and he's reaching out to the Buckeye Nation as well for potential help. That will...
Before you say goodbye.
Am I in trouble?
No, not at all. This Sports Bash, you guys have been doing this show for 50 years, and it's a great show, and I enjoy it. Tomorrow, October 17th, will mark your 1-year anniversary right here at Govs.
Is that right?
That is correct. So I just want to say thank you and congratulations.
Oh, and let me just tell you this. And again, I know we're running over late, but you're responsible for it now anyway, a little bit more. As you know, we did this show at LI News Radio, and in no disrespect to the people there, we had a great run. But as I've told you before, and I've said this on the air, when we did that test show here, that one night we came in here, me, Vinny, and Wiz, we came in here one night to do a test show. We had Charles Davis on the show.
Right.
I walked out of here, and the first thing I said to Vinny when we got out to the parking lot, I said, we're moving the show here. Because this place has felt like home. even though you gave us a long probation before we could use the bathroom.
That's right.
It was only recently that we were allowed to start using the bathroom here at Governor's. But I cannot tell you on behalf of everybody at the show how great it has been to be here. I wish I would have known this. We could have, you know what? We'll ask Gus at Embassy Diner. Maybe we can get an anniversary cake, and we'll bring it in on Tuesday.
Oh, my goodness.
And do it a little late, a 1-year anniversary a little late.
Now you're talking.
But thank you very much for those kind words.
Of
And I
course.
can't tell you how great it's been to work with you and
Likewise,
everybody
pal.
here.
Good. Likewise.
Awesome. And that'll do it for this edition of Sports Bash, now 1 year old as of tomorrow, presented by Ticketbash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. You know, it was so much nicer when we were doing the show last year. The Mets went to the NLCS, the Yankees went to the World Series, and now we're miserable. The football teams are no good, and the baseball teams are done, and the Islanders are off to an 0-3 start. You know, what are we going to do? Go Knicks, go St. John's. That's really all I have to say. Thanks to my guests here on the show, Daryl Slater from NJ.com, and also St. John's guard Ian Jackson. Thanks to our social media coordinator, Connor Kalb, who's going to be very, very busy doing a lot of cutting up of this show because there's some good clips that we're going to have out on social media. And also thanks to Big Tony Walker and everyone here at Governor's. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Coach's Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to the program. We are back on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy some fall weather.